Do not worry about tomorrow. So says Jesus in Matthew 6 verse 34. Well, that's a lot easier said than done, isn't it? Today I'm going to share with you a song that I started writing the lyrics for while we were in the COVID lockdown. During that time, I was finding it really difficult to sleep and found myself wide awake at midnight, which is the opening line of the song. And with a negative spiral of thoughts going round my head, catastrophizing about the worst possible case scenario for all the things I was worried about. Perhaps some of you share my tendency to think far too far ahead and worry about scenarios that may never happen. So I had to try really hard to rein that in and to try and trust in God's faithfulness for the future and choose to live one day at a time, clinging on to the promise that the steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. At the same time, even in the midst of my darker thoughts, I was aware of glimmers of light, like stars revealed by a dark night sky, because there were some really good things happening, despite the difficulties and traumas of living through a pandemic. Things that revealed that God was at work, even in the darkness, even when I struggled to see it. And it reminded me of some of the teachings of Jesus about this, especially the parable of the growing seed, where Jesus says, "This is what the kingdom of God is like. A man scatters seed on the ground night and day, whether he sleeps or gets up. The seed sprouts and grows, though he does not know how." In darkness, under the soil, unseen, the seed grows, night and day, before there's any sign above ground that anything is happening at all. We say that in the darkest of nights, the light still shines. And on a dark night, part of that light is the light from stars that we simply cannot see during daylight. But there's also the light of the moon, which in reality is the reflected light from the sun, out of sight, but still shining on us, even while we wait to see the full brightness of the dawn. While searching for another metaphor of God being at work even when we can't see it, and even when we're not aware of it, I ended up doing some maths, as you do when you're trying to write a song. Because I was thinking to myself, I wonder how far away the dawn is when we're in the dead of night. And I wonder how fast we're spinning towards that new day, even when it appears that we're going nowhere and nothing is happening. Now, some of you might be completely bored by this, but I'm going to tell you anyway the maths that gives the answer to those questions. The radius of the Earth is about 3,950 miles. Well, the Earth's not quite a perfect sphere, but that's roughly right. And we know that circumference equals 2 pi r. So the circumference of the Earth is 3,950 times by 2 times by 3.14159,265,359, which equals 24,400 418 miles. So if you divide that by 24, the number of hours in a day, that means we're spinning at 1,034 miles per hour, which is quite a staggering thought. But let's call it 1,000 miles an hour, because that makes a better song lyric. And if it's the depths of winter, at 9 o'clock at night, it's really dark, the dawn will be about 7 a.m. So if the dawn is 10 hours away and we're spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, that means that the dawn is about 10,000 miles away. So that'll make a good song lyric too. Even though the dawn is still 10,000 miles away at 1,000 miles an hour, though you think you're standing still, we're spinning ever closer to that beautiful new day. Now, of course, that beautiful new day is symbolic, not just of God's mercies being new every morning, but also points to two specific new days, which are the source of our hope as Christians. On the bright new day of the resurrection of Jesus, after the darkness of the cross, in Luke's Gospel, at dawn, the women go to the tomb and find it empty, with two angels in dazzling white clothes beside them, saying, "He has risen." Later in the day, two of the disciples of Jesus are on their way to the village of Emmaus, having heard the story from the women, but not really believed it. They don't yet realise that God has been at work in raising Jesus from the dead. The truth of God's new day has not yet dawned on them. As they say to the mysterious stranger who walks with them, "We had hoped that Jesus was the one to redeem us." They believe that all their hopes have been dashed, and it only dawns on them as Jesus breaks the bread with them, that he really is alive and everything has changed. The resurrection is the first sign of the promise of another new day that is coming, that we hear about in Revelation chapter 21, when in the renewed heaven and earth, where there is no mourning or crying or pain, the one on the throne says, "See, I am making all things new." So that's something of the story, the theology, and the maths behind the lyrics to this song that I finished writing while on sabbatical last year, and that I've been slowly working on the arrangement and recording of over the past few months. And it's called Beautiful New Day.
Wide awake at midnight, aching for the daylight, and fears like the darkness are all closing in. Somewhere in the distance, a siren breaks the silence, but louder by far are those voices within, saying all my hopes and dreams are gone without a trace. Forget those stupid plans, it's just a hopeless case. I know the sky's too dark to see beyond the hill, and even though the dawn is still 10,000 miles away, at 1,000 miles an hour, though you think you're standing still, we're spinning ever closer to that beautiful new day. Go down the creaking staircase and sit beside the fireplace. The loud ticking clock is counting down these long hours, and from this place of shadows I look out of a window. The darkening sky is revealing the stars, and rising from the silver clouds, the moon is shining on, reflecting to my face a hidden burning sun. I know the sky's too dark to see beyond the hill, and even though the dawn is still 10,000 miles away, at 1,000 miles an hour, though you think you're standing still, we're spinning ever closer to that beautiful new day. I'm trusting that the light still shines when hidden from my view, hoping in the one who's making all things new. I know the sky's too dark to see beyond the hill, and even though the dawn is still 10,000 miles away, at 1,000 miles an hour, though you think you're standing still, we're spinning ever closer, spinning ever closer, spinning ever closer to that beautiful new day.